So we're back with a new chapter of My Hero Academia season 6, and this is the chapter called 380. And Hirokoshi did some little break. I think he's gonna do some like affection that's going on with them. I don't know what it is, but he made some few updates of the manga of My Hero Academia. So we're gonna find out what it is on this video, and I can't wait. I've been waiting for like a whole week, maybe 2 or 1 week of this. So yeah, I'm so excited, guys. I can't wait. And I think that I do remember that Deku was freeing Shigaraki, and Shigaraki was back to the normal self, and then he was going to decay the whole place until suddenly Deku appeared and he pushed him, attacked him full speed ahead, and now they're fighting. And we moved to something else that's pretty much a little bit different that's going on in the chapter. So let's get right into it. Let's do this.
A new chapter of My Hero Academia is here, so you already know it's time for us to cover it. So let's talk about My Hero Academia chapter 380, and the title of the chapter is Close Call for Reals. Thanks Rukasu, Justice, and Dabi's pole dance for the information, and let's get straight into it. The chapter begins with Gentle saying that his quirk is already at its limit, and the flying trampoline is about to be undone. Labrava asks him to hang on just a little longer because she's almost done with the new program. And on the page, we can see that at the top of the giant air trampoline, it's starting to rip, right? We can see holes starting to form in that massive air pad that Gentle has made for UA, and he's pretty much at the bottom of UA, almost holding it up in the air like Goku, right? Like trying to keep it from falling out of the air, but he's at the limit of what he can do even with Lover Mode. And as amazing as Gentle is and his return has been and everything, I can't imagine how much energy it would have taken to just boing UA away back into the sky, but I bet if Gentle was a one-for-all user, he would have just went crazy here. Gentle then begins to reflect and think that there's no one documenting this battle, but despite that, he still needs to give it his all to do the right thing. And this of course calls back to Gentle being recorded throughout many of the events of his life after he became a villain and had Labrava at his side, and she would record everything and handle his YouTube channel, and that's exactly how he went viral online. Something that is going to be a little important later on in this chapter. Luckily for Gentle though, he sees that there are students from the business course filming him, and he gets startled. On the page, it's kind of like a cool shonen moment. It looks like Gentle's about to give it his all and die or something, because we see Gentle small with no background. It's just him floating in a white panel, and then we see a close-up of his face as energy just starts to rush and rush and rush, and then you see a small glint as the business course students are of course holding their phones sideways, kind of ruining the drama of the moment. Gentle says that it's dangerous for them to stay so close to the edge, and he tells them to go back inside UA because, this is a battlefield during a war arc. But the student with the giant, weird, kind of pineapple-shaped hair is too busy narrating about the incredible story of a villain in custody who has decided to help the heroes, of course narrating the story of Gentle, making things a little more dramatic for the recording. And as the boy is doing this monologue and doing this narrating for his video, Gentle then shouts to get his attention, and the boy shouts back, right, saying that society losing faith in the heroes was partially the fault of the regular people like the business course for failing to build a better public image for them, and that's why now they need to record this battle in the best way possible, so Gentle just needs to pipe down and let him do his job. And on the page we see the business course student actually getting a decent bit of focus as he yells at Gentle in the rain with water all running down his face, and Gentle of course looks up very resolved, understanding exactly what the young man is saying. Labrava's voice then begins to come out of the student's cell phone saying that what he said was amazing. She says that she was able to hack into his phone because the barrier was weakened, and tells him to keep filming because everyone needs to see how cool Gentle is. And on the page we see Tsukauchi starting to freak out in the background at something that Labrava is doing on the computer. And I remember a minute ago that I said that Labrava was the reason that Gentle went viral. She just seems to be really good at anything having to do with online stuff. Well, it seems like now Labrava has hacked into the phone of all the business course students and any camera facing to the battles happening at UA and abroad, and she's live streaming the battle for UA in Japan to different channels all over the internet. And I believe on the page we can see sites like YouTube. There looks like a site that might be some sort of news website picking up the information very quickly. There's just a lot of different live streaming sites, so it seems like this is again being streamed to multiple channels. And this is important of course because there's a lot of stuff going on in this section of the story that a lot of Japan just wouldn't have got to see, and they would would have had a lot to say about the heroes maybe not doing this right or not doing that, but when you can actually see the battle between the heroes and the villains, it really adds a lot to having the civilians on the hero's side after this. And also, of course, one of the big battles that we know that's going on right now is Deku versus Shigaraki, and we're likely to see Deku's big "I'm here" moment thanks to this live stream on Labrava's behalf, as it's probably going to go viral and we see Deku resolving the situation with Shigaraki. At the same time that Labrava's done this, she's also completed the security system, and now she has UA floating again, for which Gentle praises her. And we see a lot of smoke coming out of UA as we see the little jet pads under UA's base starting to push the air pad that Gentle has, and UA is in fact floating in the air as Gentle makes a really big smile.
It's
The best way to burn fat and get shredded is not keto, not paleo, and it's definitely not intense exercises.
But up top at UA, we see a horde of Twice clones starting to spill out onto the battlefield. And that's just a reminder that even though things seem to be getting better, it's not like the heroes are really gonna get a break here. Twice's clone says eliminate the heroes. And that's when we then see that the Twice clones have actually thrown Aizawa off of UA. Mike jumps up to try to catch him, but the two of them actually fall into a portal that Kurogiri opens while he's glitching. Kaminari screams for Aizawa, who he sees get thrown off the edge, and we see that Manga has actually jumped into the fray to save Monoma, who looks like he might be unconscious. But now Kaminari and Manga are completely surrounded by Twice clones, even though I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue, because now that means Kaminari can probably use indiscriminate voltage if he gets a little further away from Manga and Monoma. And on the page where we see Aizawa and President Mike falling into Kurogiri, Kurogiri has really strange eyes. Like, you know, he usually has those cool eyes made out of like light energy floating in the darkness. Right now, one of them looks a little normal and another one of them is really big, and they're both looking in two different directions, showing that Kurogiri is just completely wonking out because he's going to save Aizawa, which is probably Shirakumo's will bleeding through, but right now he's supposed to be trying to save Shigaraki. Kaminari says that it looked like Kurogiri saved them from the fall, but Mandalay says that that also means that they lost Erasure. All they can do now is believe in their victory and keep fighting. We then see that the support course is filming Deku and Shigaraki's fight. And zooming into that page, if you remember the last time that we saw Deku and Shigaraki, we saw that Shigaraki's wrists were actually wrapped by Deku's black whip, but now it seems like Shigaraki is broken free and Deku doesn't actually have control of Shigaraki's arms anymore. As Deku seems like he's rushing forward to Shigaraki at full speed and full strength, leaving a massive trail of debris in his wake, it looks like there's some sort of energy or blood around Shigaraki coming from the ground, and it might be getting ready to attack Deku, but that's the most that we see from their battle, at least this week, and it was a very brief flash, but I'm sure that that's going to be one of the most viral moments when people see, oh, that's the big bad guy Shigaraki. Who is that he's fighting? From there, we cut back to Horikoshi's favorite area, the Gunga Mountain Villa, and All For One says that he was actually supposed to take full control of Shigaraki's body from the beginning, and that this whole fusion and new personality thing only happened because Tamura's destructive impulses were stronger than he expected. And this is all happening as All For One flies over the burning battlefield, as we see wave upon wave of Twice clones overwhelming the heroes, and Hawks chases All For One down as he slowly turns around and sees Hawks of his vibrating sword, and you can see on All For One's face that he definitely looks younger than usual. And I really like Horikoshi's attention to detail, because again, if you reread this section ever since All For One has been rewinding, you can slowly see the progression of his face getting younger and younger. As Hawks gets near All For One says it doesn't matter, this whole fusion thing is no reason to panic, because he only needs to make Tamura's body absorb the quirk factor of his original body for All For One's domain to become absolute. This means that All For One pretty much wants Shigaraki to take his version of All For One, and that would actually give him full control over Shigaraki, so it's kind of like a trap that he has in his own body for Shigaraki if he gains control, because Shigaraki hates All For One so much, you would imagine that when he tries to kill All For One, he would try stealing the All For One quirk, and in that situation, we now know that All For One would take control of Shigaraki, meaning that really he would win, and get exactly what he wants. Hawks rushes towards All For One and says that he won't let him go, because this is their story. He'll stop All For One for the sake of the new generation. He makes a feint pretending to attack with his sword, and then he boosts it with his feathers, doing a spin and then catching a sword in his other hand, but it's absolutely no use. It misses All For One, and then All For One laughs with energy kind of coming off of his face when he makes a really evil face, and then he uses an attack to destroy Hawks' body. We literally see him kind of just twist his palms, and Hawks goes flying back, and it kind of looks like All For One hit him with like a Rasengan or something, and Hawks gets completely blown apart as we see his feathers flying through the air.
My goodness.
And Tokoyami, who's watching, has an absolutely shocked and sad expression as Hawks floats lifelessly away towards the ground. Tokoyami screams in despair. All seems lost until we see Hawks open his eyes, and he actually now has huge, glowing, glamorous eyes, which are now surrounded by roses. He says, "Ouch, I wanted to see you so bad that I flew too fast." And he fades into an odd mist, revealing that this version of Hawks is actually an illusion. And we get a really
illusion,
funny panel
okay.
of Tokoyami, who has this reaction to Hawks, and he's just
Illusion.
completely confused with his mouth wide open. It looks like those scenes of people reacting to scenes of Luffy in Gear 5 in One Piece. This is just a really funny drawing. You're definitely going to be seeing
Look
it
at
a lot.
Tokoyami.
I'm sure people are going to be redrawing other characters with this same kind of theme. All For One wipes away the illusory mist in the air, and he spots a figure darting through the fire. The figure says that was a close call, for real. He's like so hot that it was super hard to replicate all of his swag. And knowing that there's only one character in all of My Hero Academia that would curse us with that awful curse dialogue, we see Cammy arriving on the battlefield, taking a really odd form of transportation. I don't know how to say this without getting demonetized. So she's riding a giant fake, I guess it's a created finger, and she's on it like a broom, like a witch, floating towards the battlefield.
That's weird.
Creating illusions, trying to distract All For One. And we see, of course, that the real Hawks is next to Meatball, who I think pulled him away for the illusion to work. At that same moment, a strong wind starts to pick up, and all the Twice clones start looking around like, hey, what's going on here? Something's not quite right. At the same time, Meatball, otherwise known as Shishikura, says that he blocked All For One's attack using his meat thingies, and he then says that they'd been tasked to protect the civilians in another area, but their mission was changed suddenly. Although this is way more serious than what they were expecting, that doesn't matter because Shiketsu is here. And at that moment, the final double spread shows Inasa using his quirk to make all the Twice clones fly up in the air, and he starts gathering them into one location using massive air currents to swoop all of the Twice clones up. He says that All For One thought the winds of fortune were blowing in his favor, but it is he who controls the winds, and that's the end of the chapter.
It's been a while since I haven't seen him.
Sorry for the 2-week break that we just had. I'm gonna go plus ultra, and that's everything having to do with My Hero Academia chapter 380. Let me know if you guys want to see a more kind of thorough chapter review where I more just.
Okay, all right. So I think I understand what's going on. It kind of looks like the heroes are trying to find an opening to take out All For One, and being that he's distracted by all these heroes that keep, out of nowhere. And I'm glad that, the girl, Meatball, and this guy right here are actually joining the fight. I'm surprised they actually did. And, help lend a hand here. Because I was about to say, I actually like Hawks. I actually do. But I didn't want him to see him die. It was a close call. Even Tokoyami had this weird expression face on him. It was kind of hilarious. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. Okay, guys, I think that wraps it up on today's video. I can't wait to see what happens next on the next chapter. I hope Horikoshi is, feels well, keeping up with this manga series, because I feel like it's about to near its end. He actually did say he's going to extend the series, although he's going to be making more seasons, or probably making another movie and then end the manga there. I'm not for sure, because, it's hard to keep up with, with anime series like this, so. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you guys later.